Hello and welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you through the process and also my journey in terms of how I passed PMP in the first attempt. PMP, that is a Project Management Professional Certification. So I found it very necessary that I can share my experience to help others who might be aspiring to become PMP certified. So this is my experience, and I believe it's going to assist you in case you want to take your PMP exams. It's going to assist you in terms of how to strategize, in terms of the study process, in terms of study materials, and also the required mindset for you to be able to pass a PMP exam. So it's not like a shortcut to pass a PMP exam. Get me right on that. It's actually a way to get yourself certified in a very professional and self-paced approach. So in this video, I'm going to cover 6 main sections in terms of how to go through this PMP examination. So the first part is going to be on my experience. I'm going to take you from how I started all the way to how I managed to finish. But we are going to cover 6 areas. The first one is my journey. And then the second one is going to be also on the eligibility requirements and the application process. If you want to become a PMP certified, what makes you eligible to take the examination, and how do you prepare for the PMP examination, as well as your readiness. How do you check whether you are ready to take that examination? So that is going to be the second part. Then the third part is going to be on the study material. So you could be asking, Oscar, if I want to pass PMP, which materials should I start? So for you to start those materials, this is what we're going to cover in this particular section. I'm also going to share with you some of the materials in terms of the course which I used to pass, also in terms of the books that you might need to read, and also some of the YouTube videos which I can also recommend you to go through for you to prepare yourself to pass PMP. So we're going to cover that under the study material. Then the fourth item is going to be on the 30 principles or mindset that you should build for you to pass PMP. You just do not go to a PMP examination without this mindset. It's quite important that you build these mindsets and the principles for you to be able to, especially to eliminate quickly some of the questions that you might come across in your examination. Remember, you have 270 minutes to answer about 180 minutes to answer about 180 questions, and out of those 180 questions, within those 270 minutes, you have 10 minutes break. We're also going to cover that. Then the fifth one is we are going to go through about 40 practice questions, PMP practice questions, so that at least you familiarize yourself in terms of what to expect. You also familiarize yourself in terms of how to apply the mindset. Then the last one, we are going to look at the final steps and also, or the final tips, and also the next steps that you have to take for you to pass a PMP examination. So let's move on. So the other day, I was just thinking that as a certified Prince 2 project manager, and also with my more than 2 decades experience in project management, what else can I do to amplify my skills and my knowledge in project management? Then I said to myself, let me just challenge myself on this PMP exam. Although there are some who normally advise that you should have one of them, either Prince 2 or PMP. For me, I just said to myself, these 2 courses must be complementing each other. And I think that's exactly what I discovered. So I decided to go on a journey to sit for this PMP exam or to get myself certified as a project management professional, the biggest challenge which I had was time. I was actually running or implementing a certain project, and you know how it goes with this project. It was a software project, so it was a big challenge to get enough time. But I said to myself, I still have to do it. So initially, I was planning to sit for this exam within 6 weeks of time. Then I said, that's my timeline, that's my deadline. Let me sit for this exam. Unfortunately, because of the other pressures from the work or from the project, I realized that my studying time was being disturbed. Each time I finish my daily work, I'll be very tired and very difficult for me to also try to study. Then I said the best way is probably to extend the time. So I decided that whatever the challenge I'm facing, I should be taking this exam within maximum 10 weeks. So that was my target, 2.5 months. You might say, that's too much. Yes, it depends. If you have enough time, you can even do it within 3 to 4 weeks. It's fine. But for me, because I was reserving around 2 to 3 hours per day to study PMP, also including the additional work that I have from my normal project. So it all depends. And I would advise you that you do what is suitable for you. You don't just do everything because it was done by Oscar or by someone else. So for me, my target was 10 weeks, which is 2.5 months. So I started studying on PMP. So the first things that I had to look for is there a specific course? Is there a specific book or material that I should prepare myself? And I can tell you, this is one of the biggest challenges you're going to face when you decide to go for PMP. The biggest challenge is there's too much material out there. Whether it's a video, whether it's a book, whether it's a journal, whether it's a lead magnet, there are so many materials to do with PMP that you're going to see, and that is going to overwhelm you. You might end up thinking that I can't make it. This is too much. But let me tell you, you still need to simplify the situation, like what I did. So there are basically, can I say, 4 items which I encourage you to always use if you want to pass your PMP. So the first one is obviously the PM book. PM book is very important. You cannot run away from it. At least read it once. I know it might confuse a lot of people, but to be honest with you, at least read it once. Now, the PM book has been segregated into other small books. One of them is the processes, which I also encourage you to read that book at least once. Read it at least once. And then we have the Agile book. Agile, read it at least once, that book. So we have now spoken about 3. There's another one which I used. I know there are some who might disagree with that approach. Let me know in the comment section. But the other book which I used is the PMP book, Forms. This is the book I'm talking about. And you could be asking, Oscar, what is the purpose of these 3 books? So the PM book, obviously, it narrates what is happening with the PMI environment, what has been recommended for project management. Then the processes also and procedures book is also very important because it gives you all the processes. You get to understand all the actual 49 processes that you have to go through when you're taking your PMP exam. You take through your initiation, the processes. There are processes under initiation. There are also processes under planning. Under initiation, you have 2 processes. Then under planning, under initiation, you have 2 processes. Then under planning, you also have 24 processes, so that's 26. Then when it comes to executing a process group, you also have 10 processes, so that's about 37. Then when it comes to, that's about 36, sorry. So when it comes to monitoring and control, you also have 12 processes. So in this monitoring and control process group, you also have 12 processes, so that's 48. Then during the closing process group, you also have one process, which is closing project. So these process groups are very important for you to understand, and then the individual processes. If you want to understand more about these project management process groups, I've also created a comprehensive video, which you can also go through to understand what are these processes all about. I'll also leave a link in the description below. So process group is covered in that book. Process group is also covered in that book. Then we also have the Agile. Remember, the current structure of the PMI exam is, or PMP exam, is actually focused on both predictive and also Agile. So this book on Agile is also very, very important. You also need to go through it. If you want to understand more about Agile methodology, or how does it compare to predictive methodology, I've also created a comprehensive video that is going to help you to understand what exactly is Agile methodology. You can also watch it on my channel. I'll also leave a link in the description below. Then the fourth book which I'm talking about, you are going to reach a point where you want to understand what exactly is contained in some of these outputs from the processes that we're talking about when it comes to project management. Say, for example, you want to know what are you supposed to capture as part of the stakeholder register, as an example. What information are you supposed to capture? Of course, you will get it as you go through the PM book, but I'm telling you, this particular book is very specific and it describes more as in terms of what you're supposed to capture. Say, for example, you want to capture the name, of course, contact information, all that information, you'll get it from these forms. There are so many of them, these forms, I think about 64 or so, but they are quite important for you to understand. Most likely you're going to get questions like, where do you expect the responsibility to be captured, for example? You can talk of your work breakdown dictionary document, which is also part of the list that I'm talking about. So it's quite important that you go through these 4 books. I would suggest you do that. I know others, they suggest 3 of them, but my preference or my advice is, if you can, you need to go through all these 3 books. Then, one of the requirements you're going to see as you prepare to start PMP is you have to have some training, project management training course that you have to take, which has to amount to almost 35 hours. We're going to cover that as we go through the video. So you still need that training, and that training also, it all depends on your qualification, whether you've got a master's or you've got an HND, higher national diploma, and so on and so forth. So that is going to be part of our next section. I can tell you, passing PMP is very exciting, and you feel like something has been taken off your shoulders. You are actually happy, and this is one of the achievements that you're not even ashamed of publishing, whether on LinkedIn or any social media platform. But through my journey, what I can tell you is, PMP, it's not a walk in the park, because there's a lot of effort that you have to put towards studying. Remember, I was talking about all these books, all these materials. So you have to make sure that you put a lot of effort to study them, number 1. Number 2, you also need to put a lot of effort to go through the course, okay? Because it takes you from the beginning all the way up to the end. So that consumes a lot of time. I have to be honest with you. So you also need some level of discipline when you're studying for PMP. That is one thing I was always trying to manage from my time. You need to be disciplined in terms of your time. You need to be disciplined in terms of your consistency, and also need to be disciplined in terms of your progress. So there's a lot of time required. There's a lot of discipline that is also required. Then, besides the books, besides the training course, you might also want to go through. Some some YouTube videos. I found some few YouTube videos, which are very, very important, especially when it comes to explaining some of these concepts, assuming it was not very clear from your course. And I have to give credit to 3 trainers or YouTubers. One of them is Andrew Ramadan, is here. And then the second one is David McLachlan, is there. And then also the last one is also Mohammed, who is also there. These are quite good trainers. It's not a sponsored video, but I have to be honest with you, they also helped me to pass. So that is very, very important for you to go through those channels or those videos. They explain more in terms of what you're supposed to do for you to pass PMP. So, based on what I've said so far, we need to start by going through what are the requirements for you to be PMP. And then I'm also going to be sharing with you my weekly start guide or plan, my daily start guides and plan. And then let's see how it's going to help you to pass PMP. So, let's move on. So, this was my journey in terms of passing PMP in the first attempt. You might be asking, what does first attempt mean? It means I registered, I set up my date for exam, I used Pearson View, that's what I used for my exam, and then I set for my exam. In this section of the video, I'm going to explain to you what the exam looks like. So the exam is going to contain about 270 minutes, which means you're supposed to complete your examination in about 270 minutes. You have 20 minutes of 10 minutes breaks. So you have 2 breaks of 10 minutes each. And how do you take that break? Mostly you're going to answer your questions from 1 to 60. And there's going to be, you have to confirm whether you want to proceed with the exam or you want to take a break. Then once you say you want to take a break, the clock will start counting down, okay? From 10 all the way up to 0. So I would encourage you take these breaks. That's what I was doing actually. I would encourage you take these breaks. So that at least you stretch your legs, you can even take some water, you can even stretch your hands and so on and so forth. Sitting for an exam for more than an hour without any movement, it's not that easy. So you want your blood to flow properly as a normal human being. So I would encourage you take this 10 minutes break. Then once you have finished your first 60 minutes, and it's expected that you go up to probably up to 80 minutes, you take 8 minutes. You're expected to be answering this question in about a minute and 15 seconds, that's 75 seconds. You should be able to answer this question for you to be able to finish. But if you can do it faster, the better. So the first 8 minutes, that's 60 questions, you move on. And then you come back for the second set, which is also going to be 60. So you take your 60 minutes also. That should take you up to 155 minutes. You take a break again. Please take that break. It's very important. I can tell you your focus, especially after 2 hours, it will start to go down. So you need to take those breaks. They help you to reset, stretch your legs. Like what I was doing, I could actually go out, take some water, go to the washroom, take some coffee, stretch my hands, stretch my back, my hands, my legs. Then I come back again. So please take that break. Then the last section is also going to have 60 questions. And I can tell you, that is the hardest part. Remember, you've been sitting for almost 3 hours. Now you have to take the last set of another hour. You know, focus, concentration, fatigue, all those things will start to build up. And I can tell you, for me at least, I had some extra time. And that is where most of my extra time was consumed, the last lap. So the last 60 questions, they test even your endurance, besides knowing PMP, but even your endurance. Because focus, concentration, assuming you have not even taken water or even food, your body will start to lose focus. So that is why I encourage you to have a bit of stamina for you to make sure that you take it all the way up to the end of the last question for you to pass this examination.